The title of this video, is that a true statement? It's not a matter of perspective. It's really not. But you're allowed to have your perspective. So if you got my mustache, I got some of the bean juice stuck in it, and now my mustache is curling around in my mouth. Oh well. All right, so first of all, is it right to blame BLM for the actions of many black people who are committing these heinous crimes? No. They are only partially responsible for this. Are police responsible? No, they're not. They're not held accountable. How can you be a responsible person if you're in a job position with zero accountability? Oh, wait, no, there's accountability if the person that you do wrong to is rich. However, these groups go after the same people, those easiest to victimize. That's something all of y'all need to take note of. These groups of black people, is it just one black person assaulting one white person? In some of these, it is. In some of these videos, you see grown-ass black men hitting old people and little kids, or ganging up. Ganging up. 6 on 1, 8 on 1. Depends on which video you're looking at. Black people doing terrible things, committing heinous crimes. It's not like all black people are committing these crimes. But then again, not all white people committed these crimes against black people. Is there going to be some compensation for the victims of BLM? Is there going to be some sort of compensation for those who have been forced into slavery in the United States in our lifetime? Mind you, we like to pretend that slavery was made illegal by the Civil War. No, it wasn't. Matter of fact, slavery became legal in all states. South made it illegal to be homeless after the Civil War. Why after the Civil War? Well, because the 13th Amendment was enacted, well, it was introduced at the very end of the war. It wasn't actually put into action until after the war was ended. And the 13th Amendment states that anyone convicted of a crime may be used as slave labor. A crime. Any crime. The 13th Amendment is not specific. You get busted jaywalking, you can be turned into a slave. They call it community service. See, if you rename it, it somehow makes it okay. No, the fuck it doesn't. How was the 13th Amendment used by the South? Well, they made it illegal to be homeless and stuffed a whole bunch of black people into chain gangs. By the way, this was Adolf Hitler's model, and Franz Zuckel's model, and Heinrich Himmler's model. for slave labor camps and for the concentration camps. Big difference between a concentration camp and a forced labor camp. If you went to a forced labor camp, they worked you to death. If you went to a concentration camp, they just fucking killed you. Within 30 minutes of getting off of the train at Auschwitz, you were already in a gas chamber. You arrived there. They make you go through the train. They make you go same thing you do at the jails. All right, we need you to change out of your old clothes. Clothes wait for you. Fucking unstable connection. Anyway, they say we'll have some clothes waiting for you on the other side of the door. As soon as you're done showering. Then they go in there to take a shower, and the shower heads, instead of spraying out water, they're pushing out poisonous gas. But now, because of the anti-homeless laws that were introduced specifically so that the South could victimize black people for becoming free, those aren't just to victimize black people. Matter of fact, they're used to victimize the homeless the most. Dear Southerners, you got your asses kicked. You lost the fucking war. But you never stopped treating human beings like they're animals because of the color of their skin. The rest of the United States is getting pretty wizened up. Those of you racist white Southerners who want to perpetuate this, you got lucky. You got lucky because BLM turned out to be a racist hate group. I say this, their members' actions are the same as the KKK. Right on down to the blaming somebody of a different color. I get told how much I owe black people for things that I never did to black people. How I owe black people because my ancestors owned slaves. My ancestors didn't own any slaves. Are you on fucking drugs assuming that fucking stupid bullshit? No northerner owned a slave. And less than 1% of southerners owned slaves. By the way, during the Civil War, the white soldiers fighting for the South were also slaves. Do you know why? Because they instituted the draft. Oh, you don't want to fight for slaves because you don't own any? Well, we'll make you. That top 1% who owned those slaves proved that they also owned a whole bunch of fucking white slaves too. Basically, what the Civil War proved was that anybody who was not a slave owner during the Civil War was a slave in the South. You think you're free. The South ain't the only ones that done that. The United States has done that through its entire history. Of course, there's a big difference between the 1% in the South and the 1% in the North. The 1% in the North made their money through industrialization. The ones who made their money in the South made that money by victimizing human beings, using them as property, blatantly and outright, and using the Bible as an excuse to do so. Because the Bible has instructions on how you're supposed to treat your slaves. Yes, the Bible tells you how you're supposed to treat your slaves. So the Bible does say that slavery is okay. Just like the 13th Amendment says that slavery is okay. And it's not. Not even if they're fucking homeless. I'm not going to pretend that the most victimized people in America don't exist just because they're not black. And by the way, those 5 categories at the very top, you can be black and be a part of all of those categories.